Tuscaloosa. Welcome in. This is the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral. BamaCentral.com on the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network. And you're watching me or listening to me live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, or you're listening to me on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that you can get your podcast. We appreciate everybody who's tuning in to the Joe Gaither Show as a part of the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network. Want to shout out our other shows that are on the Broadcasting Network. All Things Alabama Podcast, All Things Bama Podcast, and then as well the Blue Collar Unplugged Podcast. So we appreciate those two shows as well coming along with us and creating a little network, the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network. So we're going to have a lot of fun. It's a Friday. Woohoo! We made it to the end of the week, everybody. We made it to the end of the week, everybody. And Alabama baseball is still alive over there in Hoover. So really, really excited for the performance that Alabama baseball has put on this week. And we want to see it continue, hopefully, into the official weekend with Saturday. So really looking forward to it being Friday and getting some diamond action. Hopefully we're going to have some success this weekend, and we'll get right into it. You can jump in and join the show like my friend James Flash Windham just did by commenting on the Facebook side, on the Twitter side, on the YouTube side, or you can find me on the Twitter machine or really any social media at Joe Gaither 6 is where you can find me and leave your comments, questions, queries, and complaints right there. As well, you can read us on BamaCentral.com and find us on the social medias at BamaCentral on the Twitter machine as well. So let's get right into it. It's gonna be a Friday, and let's get right into it. Let's start with baseball. Obviously, yesterday Alabama takes down Big Bad Auburn and sends Auburn home. No better feeling eliminating anyone than eliminating the Auburn Tigers. Garrett McMillan taking the mound, Tuscaloosa native taking the mound, and really having a good day, a strong day. Of course, it's SEC baseball. They're going to get some runs. He went six innings, allowing 5 hits, only gave up the 3 runs with 3 walks and 8 strikeouts. He took home the win, controlled the entire game. And what you've seen with the Alabama pitchers really over the last couple of weeks is the starting pitchers are going deeper into games. They're going deeper into games just as a trend, going deeper into games and saving your bullpen. Yesterday's bullpen action was Hagan, Banks, Riley Quick, and then Hunter Hoops getting the save. But you're saving the bullpen. You're allowing your bullpen guys to come back multiple days in a row. You saw that with Alton Davis over the weekend against Ole Miss, and then coming back quickly. I know he blew the save against Florida 2 nights ago, but he's able to come back quickly because you're not wearing out the arms. You're not using the arms to a point of detriment. So I'm really excited to see how they're using the pitchers. It's gonna be a lot of fun today. Alabama's win over Auburn ensures that you continue to play. It basically guarantees that you're going to have a hosting spot in a regional next week here in Tuscaloosa. So make your plans to come on down. Division I baseball going into the game yesterday had Alabama ranked 11th and Auburn ranked 10th. Well, you flip-flop those two with the loss. Hopefully, you move on up. The top 16 seeds host regionals, and the top 8 will host supers after that. So Alabama looking good. I mean, looking really good. And on a year where there was some obviously going through the year, you kind of didn't know what the outlook would be, and we've seen the last 4, 5, 6 years, the last 10 years, really. Will Alabama be in the tournament? Will Alabama make a regional? This year, not the case. The biggest debate has been, will they host a regional? And that's such a surprise. Well, not a surprise, but it's such a positive change, and a positive feeling of momentum going forward. And considering all of the things that the baseball team has dealt with, going back to the COVID-19 year, all the way to this season with Brad Bohannon's firing, you can't say enough good things about the players. You can't say enough good things about the guys rallying together and playing well. It's obviously very, very encouraged. You're going to be able to see Alabama taking on Vanderbilt tonight about 7:30, somewhere right in that range. Alabama's going to be playing 30 minutes after Texas A&M and Arkansas. Is that correct? Yes. Texas A&M and Arkansas. After Texas A&M and Arkansas play, I believe 4:30 or so, you'll be able to watch that on SEC Network. Our friends Austin Hannon and Will Miller are up there for BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com, so you can follow all their coverage. They'll have live blog coverage as well as write-ups and everything taken care of on the website side of things. So really looking forward to seeing the guys get up there and continue this run in Hoover. With that being said, and with that being our framework, look, you look through the lineup yesterday, and you had a great production. Tommy Seidel hit you a home run right in the first inning to put you up 1-0. Seidel come back again. Seidel was 3 for 3 before he was pulled. And he was 3 for 3. So really, his last 4 at bats have really been highly productive at bats. Highly productive at bats for Tommy Seidel, the Harvard graduate. He comes in. Look, Florida 2 nights ago? Why are you intentionally walking to load the bases for Tommy Seidel? He's batting .356 on the season, so he's really been effective at the plate. The big issue yesterday was pulled out of the game with, quote, hamstring tightness. I believe that he's going to be A-OK. Jason Jackson essentially said it was all precautionary and that he's going to be all right. It's not a big deal. And Tommy Seidel said as much to SEC Network later on after the game. They put him on the headsets and he said, "Oh, it's no big deal." His actual explanation was, "We wanted to get more players a chance to play." So come on, what great team culture! What great team culture do you have going on right there? And where is it going to end for this Alabama team? I don't know. Hopefully we can take it all the way into the weekend. You play today, you beat Vanderbilt, and then you play the winner of Texas A&M and Arkansas. And basically, if you handle that, you're in the championship game. You're in the championship game. And so, look, if you'd have told us we'd be in the SEC championship game 3 months ago, you'd say, "Oh, I don't know about that." I mean, you see the talent is there, but it wasn't quite clicking. And so lately, the last, 4 weeks, it has been clicking at such a high level. So you're taking on Vanderbilt tonight. So let's look back at our series against Vanderbilt. And ironically, or interestingly enough, it was Vanderbilt coming into town the weekend or the week that Brad Bohanna was fired. And I did get out to the Joe that Thursday night, and it was a beat down of the Vanderbilt Commodores, 11-2 that Thursday night. Then you lose 4-1, and you win 2-1 to win your series against Vanderbilt. So the confidence should be very, very high today. Should be there's no reason why our guys should have any sort of fear or any sort of trepidation going into the matchup today against Vanderbilt. You've already beat them on a series, and so look, all you got to do is continue to go out there and play to the best of your abilities. And if you beat Vanderbilt, you just keep it rolling. So let's see. Do we have the pitchers yet? For today's matchup, let's see, my man Austin Hanner writing our write-up last night. I don't quite see if we have the pitchers yet for today, but Ben Hess feels like a good go for Alabama today. We'll have to find out who's going to be on the mound for Alabama as we approach first pitch closer and closer, about 7 o'clock tonight. So 7 o'clock, you'll be able to find that right there on on SEC Network, and you'll be able to follow at Austin Hannon SI and Real WB Miller on the Twitter machine for all of their live blog updates and coverage. So that's what we got for the baseball side. You heard us talk about softball yesterday. We'll do it just a little bit right here. We'll keep it going because, of course, 7 o'clock tonight right here at the Rhodes House, a mile away from me, our ladies are going to take on Northwestern. Big thanks to Katie Windham joining me on the program yesterday. If you missed any of the program yesterday, you can find it on replay on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, right there on the Spotify, right under the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. So Katie was gracious enough to give us right at an hour of her time yesterday, and Katie brought some interesting points to me, brought some interesting concepts to the program that I think are worth talking about. A lot of the focus, and rightfully so, but a lot of the focus is on, oh my gosh, can Montana Fouts pitch? Can Montana Fouts go? What's her availability? Well, Patrick Murphy confirms that she is going to be available this week. She's going to be fine and available this week, whether it's 100%, 90%, 70%, she's going to be available. But Katie really hit on the bats. The Alabama bats are what it all comes down to, because we've seen Jayla Torrance and Alex Salter and Lauren Essman take the circle for Alabama and end up getting wins. But a lot of times those wins come when you have appropriate run support. And look, you can throw Montana Fouts out there all 3 games if you want to this weekend. But if the Alabama offense never scores a run, it doesn't matter who's going to be pitching. You got to score. You got to get across around the base paths and really 2 home plates. So last weekend you did that really well against Long Island, and you did that well against MTSU in the first game. But when the pressure came to you on Sunday, you ended Sunday with 2 runs, losing the first game 4-1, and then winning the second game 1-0. You've got to string the bats together. You have to, and Katie did a great job outlining that yesterday. The top of the lineup has to be effective for Ashley Prangy. Because Prangy's bat's been consistent for 2 years since she's been here. Prangy has been able to carry a stick and really score the runs for Alabama. Issue is batters in front of her. It's been Larissa Pruitt and Jenna Johnson. Jenna, this is your swan song here in Tuscaloosa. We love you, Jenna. Go out swinging that bat and making contact, putting the ball in play. And I think, you get on base for Ashley Prangy so that you can load the bat. You got to set up Prangy, you got to set up Dowling, you got to set up Shipman with some ducks on the pond, if you will. And so I think that's going to be really important this weekend. While the focus is going to be on who's pitching and how long do you let them go, how long of a leash do you let Jayla Torrance and Salter and Essman have, that's up to Patrick Murphy. God, we heard yesterday from Katie how much Murph was kind of going back and forth last Sunday about putting Montana Fouts in, whether we needed her to keep the season alive or whether he wanted to let her have one more run or one more outing in the Rhodes House. I think it just signifies how important she really is. But the pitchers this weekend, look, if the pitchers come out there ready to roll, Northwestern's played a lot of low-scoring games, and so I expect it to be whatever the Vegas total is. Play the under. What are we going to look at, like 3-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1? We're going to pass some low-scoring games here at the Joe this weekend. I think you just got to get ready for it. And so it makes the batting, it makes the hitting that much more important. When you get the runners on, when you get the runners into scoring position, can you get them in? Can you get the quality hit that continues the inning? The 2 outs, so what? You've got to continue your innings. You have to. If your innings are ending after 4, 5, 6 pitches, because you've taken quick swings, as Katie pointed out to us yesterday, because you're taking quick at bats. You're not causing the opposing pitcher, you're not causing the opponent to work. You're not challenging the other team, and you're not giving yourself the best chance to really be effective later in the games. Because if you wear those pitchers down, okay, you may not have those great at bats in the first, second, third inning, but you continue to go deep in the count, wear the pitcher out. I think you can really make some noise in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning. So, gonna be looking forward to seeing the girls tonight on the softball diamond right there over at the Rhodes House. We're hosting Northwestern. I do believe it is sold out, so if you're looking for tickets, you're going to have to find that on the secondary market. You'll be able to see that at 7 o'clock this evening, and I believe it'll probably be on ESPN Plus or wherever they can find the streaming services. You'll be able to be following our coverage. Edwin Stanton is going to be over at the Rhodes House doing live blog, and Katie Windham is going to be right there along with him, as both of those reporters are going to be in the place for us over at the Rhodes House covering Alabama Super Regionals against Northwestern. So follow those guys as they are bringing you pitch by pitch right there at the Rhodes House. And hopefully it's going to be a weekend where Alabama, look, you win 2 games in a row, you take the stress out of it, and you're on to Oklahoma City. That's the idea. That's the goal. Now, you may see us end up, 2 games on Saturday if necessary and be really stressful, but it would be great to send Montana Fouts out from Oklahoma City. Give her a huge standing ovation here at the Rhodes House. Her last time being here, her last time pitching in an Alabama uniform in the Rhodes House. Look, get out there and give her a huge ovation, and let's have the girls make it all the way to Oklahoma City, so that her career culminates with another appearance in Oklahoma City, because I think she absolutely deserves that. for what she has meant to college softball. She should be concluding her career either with a championship or just with great outings and great performances in Oklahoma City. So looking forward to seeing the girls take care of business this weekend against the Northwestern Wildcats. All right, let's keep things going right here on the Joe Gaither Show. I appreciate everybody jumping in and watching us live. I've got a couple people watching live, a couple people dropping comments. I really appreciate that. And then you guys listening on the playback on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, wherever you're getting your podcasts. Really appreciate all you guys and girls listening to us and all of your participation. All right, this concept, this kind of talking point sounds like a summer talking point, and that's where we are. It's a Friday. We're going to kind of let our hair down a little bit. Oh, I did get a haircut this week. You can see that if you're watching on the video platforms. If you're listening on the audio platforms, you just got to trust me. But we're opening up OTAs across the NFL, and Devontae Smith had some time at the podium on Wednesday. Had some time at the podium on Wednesday, and was asked about a dozen different things. And so I was fortunate enough to write about that for BamaCentral.com. You can read about that right there on BamaCentral.com. Read about Devontae Smith's comments at the media. Only spent about 7 or 8 minutes up there talking to the media, but Devontae said a lot of interesting things, a couple off the wall things, but a lot of straight up, like exactly what you would think Devontae Smith would be saying. So let's get into it. First, they were so strange. The Philadelphia media, it was so strange. They asked him, "Oh, now you're going into your third year. You're going into your third year. What have you learned, or what are you more comfortable with, or like how are you feeling as a professional athlete?" And if you follow Devontae Smith for any length of time, look, you know how prepared our athletes, the Alabama Crimson Tide athletes, are, and you know the preparation that they get, the attention to detail, the diet, the sleep, all that stuff. And that's what really the Philadelphia media was getting onto is: have you found a good workout regimen? Have you found a good have you found a good dietitian? Have you found a good regimen with your diet, sleep, this, that? And Devontae was aloof a little bit, was basically like, "Oh, well, I've had that." It basically kind of insinuated that he's had these habits coming into the NFL. Now that it's year 3, it's not like he just finally clicks and he takes it seriously. No, Devontae Smith has been taking football seriously 10, 15 years probably, for a very long time, for a considerable length of time. Obviously, you don't get to the NFL, you don't win a Heisman Trophy, you don't win a national championship without taking football seriously. And Devontae, the Slim Reaper, has obviously taken football seriously throughout his entire time. Now, he talks about, he was asked about A.J. Brown, he was asked about Jalen Hurts and this, that, and the other, and he gave the typical canned answer, the typical, "Oh, we just want to be better. There's always room for improvement. We don't want to be we don't want to be complacent." Last year, he said A.J. Brown got here a little late because of the trade. He was looking forward to year number 2 with the trio coming back together. Will we see the Eagles going right back to the Super Bowl? Will we see? They lost Miles Sanders, but they obviously have Jalen Hurts going into year number 4 and Devontae Smith going into year number 3. Look, the Eagles are a team that's on the rise, and Howie Roseman has done it correctly over his tenure as general manager, always addressing the offensive line, every year addressing the offensive line, and bringing in linemen. So one of the things that Devontae Smith was asked was, hey, during draft day, and really the last 2 drafts for the Philadelphia Eagles, Howie Roseman's been drafting a lot of Georgia Bulldogs. We all know the 2-time national champions, Georgia Bulldogs. Their defense the last 2 years has been quite incredible. But they've spent 5 of their last 12 draft picks in 2 seasons on Georgia Bulldogs. And so it's led a lot of people, it's led a lot of fans, it's led a lot of Georgia fans, and a lot of, of course, Georgia fans should be proud. A lot of Bulldogs on one team should be proud. It caused the media to ask Devontae Smith, "What do you think about earning a Georgia Bulldog reputation? What do you think about being the Philadelphia Bulldogs or the Georgia Eagles, XYZ, ABC? What do you think about that?" And Devontae basically said, "Oh, I don't care." He said, "It doesn't bother me. If that's what," he said, "if you got to draft championship players to get back to the championship, that's what you got to do. It is what it is." made me wonder, is it really fair to call them the Philadelphia Bulldogs? Is it really fair to call them the Georgia Eagles? And I don't know that it is. I don't know that it is. You go through the roster, and so I did for us. You go through the roster, and you find interesting numbers here when you're looking through the Eagles roster. On the Alabama side, you've got Landon Dickerson, Jalen Hurts, Josh Jobe, Eli Ricks, Devontae Smith, and Tyler Steen. I only passed simple math, but that simple math is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players with Alabama ties on the Philadelphia Eagles. And then you look on the Georgia side. Yes, they've been drafting heavy Georgia players over the last 2 years, but Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Keely Ringo, Nolan Smith, and DeAndre Smith. Okay, back to my simple third grade math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, man. So my third grade math tells me that 6 Bulldogs and 6 Crimson Tiders equal one another. 6 and 6. No difference, no more, no less. I know when we get into deeper waters on the math game, I've got to call and phone a friend, but I think 6 and 6 equal one another. And so I wonder, is it really fair to call them the Philadelphia Bulldogs or the Georgia Eagles, this, that, or the other? I know, okay, you've got some serious debate about Jalen Hurts and whether he's really Alabama or really Oklahoma. Well, I have a photo from my own graduation that happened to be Jalen Hurts' graduation that makes me feel very confident that Jalen Hurts is considered an Alabama Crimson Tide football player or alum. I know he went to Oklahoma for a year and obviously went back to Oklahoma and got your master's degree, Jalen. Kudos and credit to you for that. That's incredible. But now I think that if Oklahoma wants to say he's Boomer Sooner, fine, let him. But I think you have equal claim for Alabama to say he's Roll Tide. So those same two concepts can be played out with Eli Ricks and Tyler Steen. Eli Ricks of LSU and Alabama fame, and Tyler Steen of Vanderbilt and Alabama fame. So you do have a little bit of like transfer portalese. Oh, Landon Dickerson, you can't forget him, Florida State to Alabama. You do have a little bit of a transfer portal, popular guys on the Eagles, but I do think you still have enough Alabama presence to equal the Georgia presence. The issue becomes when you look on like the contribution, who is really contributing. Josh Jobe didn't really do much for the Eagles last year, special teams player, and Eli Ricks was an undrafted free agent in this offseason, so he still really hasn't done anything. Tyler Steen, 3rd, 4th round draft pick, great. I think that, you've got real good contributor. Landon, starter. He's a starter. Jalen just got paid $255 million, so that goes without saying. And Devontae Smith has been a fine receiver over 2 seasons with over 2,000 receiving yards through just the 2 seasons. I think you look at the Georgia contingent and you do see guys who are contributing at a more consistent level. Jalen Carter, obviously drafted in the 1st round. Jordan Davis, drafted I think 2nd round last year. So you have starters on the Eagles defense. Keely Ringo, going to be interesting to see if he becomes a starter for the Eagles or not. He's going to be battling with Darius Slay and other high-profile cornerbacks that the Eagles have. So, it's a fun conversation. Are the Eagles more Alabama? Are they more Georgia? I think it just becomes a fan conversation throughout the offseason, gives people something to talk about. At the end of the day, both Alabama and both Georgia fans will be kind of celebrating the Philadelphia Eagles' success. It's interesting. You look throughout the NFL, and like every single team, I think except for the New Orleans Saints, has an Alabama player. So really, it doesn't matter which NFL teams you're supporting. You can find some Alabama Crimson Tide football players to celebrate and to support, and we can do that just as well with the Philadelphia Eagles as the Georgia Bulldogs can do with the Philadelphia Eagles as well. So you can read that piece about Devontae Smith and all his comments right there on BamaCentral.com. You can check out what he said about Jalen Hurts, making it fun to go to work. You can check out what he said about A.J. Brown, going to getting year two, getting more chemistry with A.J. Brown. I think they had a fun conversation with the Eagles media, and you can read about that on BamaCentral.com. All right, one more topic for the day, as we've had a fun first week here on Bama Central. One more topic for the day, and of course, anybody can chime in on this. But Terrell Lewis, former Alabama Crimson Tide football player, plays for the Los Angeles Rams at the moment. Terrell Lewis took to Twitter the other day, and look, we get a lot of our topics. A lot of our topics are just fun, creative topics from social media, and so I think Terrell Lewis for this idea. Terrell Lewis says, hey, where is our 30 for 30? Where is our 30 for 30? You guys know the 30 for 30s are a lot of fun. They're great documentaries that ESPN puts on. ESPN really contracts them out to great video producers. And so Terrell Lewis, hey, Alabama Dynasty, where's our 30 for 30? We all remember the Miami It's All About the U documentary that hit. They did a 2-part series. I think Billy Corbin was the director behind those two 30 for 30s. But look, the Miami Hurricanes, late 80s, early 90s, oh man, they were incredible. A lot of fun to watch. A lot of, you either loved them or you hated them, but you did watch them because they were highly entertaining and they won a lot of football games. So Billy Corbin putting on a big old It's All About the U 30 for 30, and then turning around and following up with the early 2000s version of that as well, with Jeremy Shockley and company as the 01 Miami Hurricanes ended up being national champions as well. So look, we're kind of playing off that factor, but let's be honest. Nick Saban from 2007 to right now, today, 16 years. Look, our dynasty's been better than Miami's dynasty. Our dynasty's been the single greatest dynasty in college football history. You want to argue with me? You can, at Joe Gaither 6. But really, it's been the single greatest dynasty in college football's history. Yes, I know Georgia has back-to-back national championships so far during our reign. And Clemson has won a couple national championships during our reign. But 16 years and 9 national championship game appearances, what's that? 6 national title wins. You can't beat it. You cannot beat it. And so Terrell Lewis, I encourage you. I encourage you to find patience. I encourage you to be patient, because I think this documentary, this 30 for 30 series, to go ahead and put one out right now, it would be short-sighted. It would be incomplete. We all remember the 30 for 30, what Roll Tide War Eagle, it was kind of surrounding the 2010 Alabama-Auburn game, the comeback. Oh, pain. My worst Auburn loss in my Alabama, in my fandom. Sorry, you got nothing on the kick six. The comeback was everything. But yeah, we remember the documentary on the comeback, and to me, it was a nice story on the Alabama-Auburn Iron Bowl rivalry, but it was incomplete. It wasn't really. I don't know. It felt like it was missing some things. And so if you want to have a documentary on the Alabama dynasty, on the Nick Saban dynasty, you've got to stretch it out over multiple parts, or you've got to focus on just a couple of year blocks at a time. I think you're 07 to 11 or 12. You've got 5-7 years right there in a block that becomes one dynasty, or what becomes one 30 for 30, and then you take that 12, 13, 14 range right when Lane Kiffin arrives. You take 12. Year 2012 to 2017 or so, the second in 26, and then you take 17 to present day, and you've got to include 2020, the COVID year, the undefeated SEC season. I think you have at least 3 parts here in a 30 for 30 series, and so you got to find a great filmmaker. AP Stidham, who did the Wishbone Boys recently, might be a good candidate. You got to find a good filmmaker, and really, you have to get Nick Saban's access. You got to get access to A.J. McCarron, Greg McElroy. You got to get access to the who's who, the Rolando McClain, Javier Arenas. You got to get access to guys who are currently stars in the NFL. Julio Jones. You got to get access to Tua Tagovailoa. You got to get access to the who's who to make it really match what they did with the Miami Dynasty, documentary, All About the U. So I think it's a great concept, but Terrell, I think you need to be a little more patient, and that's okay. I understand. A lot of people, he left college, so now the story is done for Terrell Lewis, but no, it's not done for Alabama, not by a long shot, not by far. I think that as long as Alabama is still employing Nick Saban, that we will be relevant and right sniffing around near the top of college football. So Terrell, be a little patient. We'll have 3, maybe 4 parts of a 30 for 30 series coming out soon for you. When Nick Saban is done and retires. Just a couple other notes for the Alabama Crimson Tide. If you're following if you're following any sporting event. Alabama golf is going to be doing national championships today. You'll be able to follow Chris Walsh on a live blog right there on BamaCentral.com. We'll be able to see if Cannon, Clayholm, and company can put Alabama into contention for a national championship. Be a lot of fun if the guys were able to make some noise out there. You'll be able to follow that on BamaCentral.com today. We'll just kind of wrap it up, and we'll remind you, Alabama baseball is taking on Vanderbilt. It'll be about 7:30 tonight on SEC Network. You'll be able to follow our live blog. Austin Hannon and Will Miller will be covering Alabama baseball as they're taking on Vanderbilt. If the Tide can emerge victorious, they will take on the winner of Texas A&M and Arkansas, who will be playing the first game at about 4:30. So you'll be able to watch both those games today and then see who Alabama can take on, obviously, if we handle our own business and beat Vanderbilt. So and then throughout the weekend, you beat the winner of them, and then you're playing again in the championship game. I believe that's going to be on Sunday. So hopefully the Alabama baseball team will be able to take care of business throughout the rest of the weekend. We'll be watching for any football news that comes and goes. It's obviously a slow time for Alabama. I'm reaching out to a couple of people that cover Louisiana to try to get somebody on to talk about Trey Amos. I also have reached out to Aaron Suttles of Yay, Alabama. We're talking about getting him on the show next week to talk about everything that they do with Yay, Alabama, and just have Aaron on. He's so knowledgeable about all things Alabama. I really appreciate everybody joining us this week. I mean, the first week trying something new, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a little risky, but it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate Chris Walsh and let's see who we had. Chris Walsh, Austin Hannon, Will Miller, and Miss Katie Windham all joining us from BamaCentral this week. So for a first week, it was a lot of fun. We're going to continue to try to take all your comments and questions and queries and suggestions and kind of implement them throughout time. We'll try to spread our platform as far and wide as it can go. It's going to be a lot of fun this weekend watching the Diamond Sports because, look, if you'd asked me 2 months ago, Joe, do you care about Alabama baseball? Do you care about Alabama softball? Are they intriguing you right now? I'd said no. I'd have said no. Those programs right now are just good enough to irritate me, just good enough to make me pay attention and then break my heart. Yes, we all had a little heartbreak from Florida 2 nights ago, but the baseball team, I am very excited. I'm going to be like, if you just said, Joe, you're going to spend your Friday night watching baseball, I'd have said, no, you're crazy. I don't like baseball in that fashion. But that's exactly what I'm going to do tonight. And that's what I'll be flipping back and forth, watching the softball girls. I'll be paying attention to seeing if Patrick Murphy puts Montana Fouts out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. These teams have turned themselves into, have become very interesting over the last couple of weeks. And yes, some of that has to do with scandal, Brad Bohannon getting fired. Some of that has to do with injury. Montana Fouts having a nick. She had a blister on her hand and now an injury on her knee. You don't like those negative stories, but sometimes the negative stories create interest and create intrigue. And what has both those programs done? What have both those programs done, since those negative stories have hit? They've won. They've won, and they've been successful since. And so that's what's been so much fun and so interesting to watch. And so, yes, tonight I'm going to be paying close attention to Alabama baseball. I'm going to be paying close attention to Alabama softball, taking on Northwestern. If you just said, Joe, this Alabama softball team's going to go to Oklahoma City with a number 5 seed, and they're going to have a chance to win a national title, I'd have said, you are absolutely nuts. 18 losses on the year. They can't hit consistently. They don't have a pitcher behind Montana Fouts. Well, the last 3 weeks, they put almost all of that to bed. Yes, you still want to have consistency behind Montana in the circle, but if you could get the active hitting, if you can get the consistent hitting, the passing the bat like a baton, the Patrick Murphy style from the offensive side of the plate, sky's the limit. This team can really surprise people, and they might be remembered as a team that's, you put it together late, It doesn't matter about the 18 regular season losses. Nobody remembers the early season loss to UCLA or the Clearwater Classic that kind of was an up and down event. The SEC series losses throughout the year. No one remembers it. It was just going to remember you going to Oklahoma City and making a lot of noise in the postseason. And so, look, it's still right, all out there in front of you for the Alabama softball team. So we're going to be paying attention to that at 7 p.m. tonight. That's going to do it for us today. I know it's a little shorter show just because it's a Friday and just because we're less on content today. I'm going to go ahead and turn this bad boy around. We're going to put it out on BamaCentral.com. We're going to put it out on Spotify. We're going to put it out on all the platforms that you listen to podcasts on. I'll be back with you on Monday. If Chris Walsh doesn't fire me over the weekend, hopefully not. I don't think that's going to happen yet, but we'll see. I'll be back with you on Monday at 1 p.m. You can follow us on the Twitter machine at Joe Gaither 6, at BamaCentral, and pay attention to all our announcements. You can play on all our Twitter games. Oh, yeah, we'll just go back to that loop real quick. The Alabama and Georgia conversation, I put it out there to my social media followers at Joe Gaither 6 on the Twitter machine. Are the Eagles more Alabama or are they more Georgia? And I did lay it out there that it was 6 players on each side, 6 Alabama and 6 Georgia. Named names, tried to make it as clear and obvious as possible that it was 6 on each side. But 270 votes, 62% of the people. 62%, 2/3 of the people basically saying the Eagles are more Georgia Bulldogs than they are Alabama Crimson Tide, despite the fact that both schools are equally represented with 6 representatives each from their schools on the Philadelphia Eagles. You can always participate in all of our Twitter games on the Twitter at Joe Gaither 6. Leave some comments, jump in there. Had some nice interaction about that. Lots of people asking if I could count. Not very well, but I can get up to 6. Once you get past 12, 13, 14, I start to fumble with my counting. So yes, a lot of people asking if I can count. Just want to confirm that yes, I can count, but not very high. 6 is plenty, and you can play in all of our Twitter games at Joe Gaither 6. So for BamaCentral, for my man Chris Walsh, for all of our reporters out in the field, they're going to have a busy night. Chris Walsh is following golf. Katie Windham, Edwin Stanton following softball, Will Miller and Austin Hannon following baseball. It's going to be a very busy weekend around BamaCentral. We're going to have a lot of fun covering it for you guys. Anything that you guys need, you can find it at BamaCentral.com, and that'll keep you up to date with all the Alabama news and notes as it happens. So for Joe Gaither, hey, that's me. For the listener, hey, that's you. It was a great first week, and I hope you'll join me again next week as we're back live again on Monday at 1 p.m. Roll Tide, everybody.